This call is from a person currently in a prison in England. All calls are logged and recorded and may be listened to by a member of prison staff. If you do not wish to accept this call, please hang up now.
Day 7, HMP Thameside, IDTS wing, 1 week in prison. Halfway to the Old Bailey plea hearing, I was woken up to my pad opening. Induction. Am I being moved wing? I asked. No, induction education. I got ready, waiting around on top floor for about 40 minutes before 3 of us were let out the wing and had to guess where that we were going to go because there was absolutely no instruction. So Ahmed and I followed others and ended up outside. We went to various buildings with people who have names on clipboards waiting outside each building for people to go into education, faith, gym, health centre, etc. And we weren't on the list anywhere. We didn't know where we were going. We were confused. So we tried to find the same screw who let us out to ask where we were meant to go. Eventually we arrived upstairs to where an induction class was taking place. Others left after 5 minutes. We arrived with protests to the screw who shouted at people through the door window for a while for some reason. And this is the same person who refused to give me paper saying, A-ring is always, oh yeah, so basically we took so long getting here, it literally was like 40 minutes late. We were walking around the whole prison, not knowing where we were going, bouncing between buildings. We were genuinely lost. So the person giving the induction, they were also a prisoner. But when we walked in, they said A-ring is always 40 minutes late. So we was protesting to the screw, saying there were 7 of them late from A-ring yesterday. Now I have to run through all the induction again. And if it happens again, I'm not doing it. Much of this time was spent between the coach. Oh yeah, so all the time when we were actually in induction, because most people had left, like most of the time was the coach and a new, constantly angry fella going over the same personal shit, basically. Much of the coach's frustration. So he was like, you know, it shouldn't be blah, blah, blah. And the coach was like going over things over and over and over again. It was, in the end, like that coach like snapped on him and was like, listen, I'm trying to fucking tell you, you're not listening to me. At the end of the day, you're in prison for your own fault. If you don't want to be in prison, don't drink and don't do this and all of that. So it was quite intense. So Ahmed got a few questions answered before we waited for an hour in the horizontal section that connects staircases and wings before anybody came to let us back on the wing. The coaches were very clued up and not soft. They were astonished that we'd been here a week and had not been to that induction already. At this point, we'd learned most of the things about this prison ourselves, naturally. They also noted how others on our wing had no clothes to change into, while others got washed, how limited access to CMS was, with people needing to trade caps to use CMS, and how fucked up this is for various reasons. They suggested writing out a complaints form because this prison hates complaints. Also, that the wing boss reads them and ensures that we'll receive a response from them. Once back on the wing at social before dinner, I asked for 10 complaint forms, which I got told I'd get. 40 minutes later, still without them, I asked for 11 complaint forms, much to their surprise. Ahmed, having now traded a cap for access to CMS, got me access to CMS as well, so I could add my solicitor's number. Ahmed solicitor being rejected yet again and found found themselves, and probably me, banned from visits. It was my solicitor's. My solicitor's number is rejected. If my solicitor's number is rejected, we'll know that we're being denied another right. For dinner, it was mostly barely baked, defrosted, and still cold baguette with a slice of beef, a tomato soup I can't use, and a single serving apple and blackcurrant squash pack. So squash is like a sort of juice in it for Americans. We then got banged up when I had an epiphany. Be the volunteer complaints officer. I then declared a mental health emergency from the emergency buzzer in our cells. Being denied the right to complain, I asked for 50 complaint forms, almost one for every person on the wing. We can't get that many, I was told. I said, of course you can. You can just print them off. It's just ink on paper. I need 51 now. What's your badge number? Okay, I'll get them, they said, and they walked off. I tend to put a sign against my door saying complaints, where I can help those who need it, to provide possibly more complaints on this wing than this prison gets in total of a year. Emphasising human rights abuses such as collective punishment, there will be no shortage of complaints. Right now, there's a shortage of complaint forms, 0. For exercise, an hour or two before tea time, I did 5 times 3 perfect chin-ups. I spoke to somebody on the yard who commented on my accent, praising and glorifying Scousers, as the others have done when they hear me speak, saying Scousers have no problems getting stuff in jails over England. It's true. Years ago, I once sacked up an Oz in grams of cocaine for somebody, for them to sell to a screw who was in HMP course. That's a prison in Liverpool, where I'd actually been a short resident for years, just not overlapping the times. That's just donkeys and donkeys ago. Cockney seems to focus on London, but Scousers are everywhere when it comes to crime, and are the most switched on, I reckon, most respected by criminals because they have England on lock, basically. That's not me, though. And it's more of a result of economic scarcity in Liverpool's council estates, with history dating back, and with a history of crime dating back to taking bricks out of the walls to steal from Liverpool's docks way back when meaningful work and opportunities are lacking. The established criminal elements, often corrupt councils and institutions, exploit people's natural urge to eat and be housed via the black market, but via black market money or capital. Back on the wing, no complaint forms. I prayed with Ahmed and on a bin bag on the landing. I took my sleeping pill, which gave me actually some sort of jelly bags for about 10 minutes, but I haven't felt tired hours later. For tea time, I had battered fish, wedges, peas, and I asked and got extra rice. Leftovers were then given out. On top of that, it was rice with a kind of sauce with pea, and it was actually delicious, so I nailed that. Also, with a small fruit muffin, I might have for supper with porridge from this morning if I get hungry. Ahmed blessed me with nail clippers, so I've trimmed my nails. Honestly, my tooth enamel probably isn't strong enough to bite my nails every day. anymore. I still taste a disgusting taste in my mouth from the sleeping pill. I'm settling down with the book I swapped with Ahmed. It's called Private Peaceful. I suspect I'll read their life story before they're shot for cowardice in World War One. And that is the end of day 7.
Thank you for tuning in to Diary of a Political Prisoner. What was a short list for you was a period of time in prison for me. So please make sure that you subscribe on whatever podcast player you're listening on to be notified of future episodes. Each episode was recorded in a prison cell as I'm held on remand for allegedly being involved in a Palestine action to disrupt and destroy weapons in a genocidal Israeli arms factory under Section 5 of the Terrorism Act. My diary is a podcast only to give you something in the hope that you can give help and support to my mum and son, which I can't do by any other means from prison. In supporting them, for £5 a month, you can get a week's worth of episodes in advance every Monday. For £10 a month, you'll get the week's worth of episodes. Plus, I'll respond to any question you have in a monthly question and answer episode on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/politicalprisonerpod. For £25 a month or humanitarian aid tier, you get all of the above while knowing my little boy is supported and happy. One-time donations can be made by emailing or messaging my producer on social media. Media/collaboration inquiries are on the same line, the senders and inbox. If you can't support me family in my absence, please follow the podcast on Instagram if you're going to be listening. Please follow on Twitter, all of our socials. Our handle is Diary Pol Prisoner. Please share them and this podcast with your friends. It's free to do and it helps this project grow. You can also send me a prisoner email or letters, drawings, anything like that. Links to everything mentioned can be found in the podcast description below. Thank you, love and solidarity.